Good evening, my washers and dryers, and welcome back to the Laundromat, where we are going to be discussing Manga March Madness. I didn't bother to write down when I finished these. I can give you kind of a vague idea of when they are, but really the order we're going in is the order of height, I guess. And I'll just be kind of talking about what I read, who wrote it, what the story was about, do I see myself reading more of them, and we'll just kind of go from there. To start, I read The Ancient Magus Bride by Kore Yamazaki, which is about Chise Hattori, who is bought by a mage from like a weird child auction. She is adopted / purchased by this mage named Elias, and they hang out. She learns about the magic that he deals with. They meet some of the other characters. I really enjoyed it. I see myself reading future installments. I do want to find a good manga reading resource online to read them digitally, because I don't see myself purchasing more than the single physical copy, but I really enjoyed this. I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. The artwork is really pretty. I like the way the mangaka interprets the characters through the art. And like I said, I really enjoyed it. I think if you are into kind of like the Pan's Labyrinth style narrative, this is a much gentler iteration of that. It's not as graphic as Pan's Labyrinth, but I do think if you're kind of into that normal kid meets the fantastical, this is a good story for that. So like I said, probably an 8 out of 10, which is also the score I would give to Noragami by Adachitoka. I am all over this. I do see myself purchasing more. I have the first 5 volumes, and I was able to read the first 5 volumes, which covers a lot of the ground that I saw in the anime, but I am all about this. So Yato, this guy, Yato is a god of destruction who is trying to make his way in the modern world by gaining more followers because he's a homeless god, basically. No one knows who he is. And he meets Hiyori, who is like a middle school student, and she can see him. She nearly gets isekai'd herself trying to save him, even though he doesn't need to be saved. And it just kind of follows their weird mortal god relationship. We get to see a lot of the pantheon that's in this universe and the conflicts that have followed Yato his entire life and entire existence. I adore the designs of the characters. I adore the artwork of this so much. I adore the way the characters are drawn, and I don't often find myself attracted to characters like Yato because I prefer my men to be built like refrigerators. But I like Yato. I like him as a character, the way he's drawn, the way he behaves. I really like Hiyori and Yuki and how they interact with him and with the other gods. I especially love Kofuku and Daikuku, who are the god of poverty and her regalia, respectively. And that's another aspect I like about it. I like the way that regalias are handled. The world building of this one interests me a lot, and it's one that I see myself going back to. And yeah, I would buy more physical copies. So far, I've limited myself to one series that has been adapted into an anime. I'll buy all the physical volumes of Noragami that I can. The other one that we'll get to towards the end. Actually, we can talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. Witch Atelier. This was actually the last one that I read for this month. So this is the other series that I see myself buying more physical copies, and it has not yet been adapted into an anime. So this is about Coco, who is a young girl who, after trying out some magic that she finds, accidentally turns her mother to stone and is adopted by Master Kifri, this boy, and taken to the Witch Hat Atelier to learn how to be a witch proper, learn how to use magic proper in order to rescue her mom. And so Master Kifri can find the witch who sold her the book, not even sold, who gave her the book, and figure out why loose children are being given free magic. I love this with my whole heart. This is probably a 9 out of 10. It is absolutely gorgeous on the inside. The intricate detail that is given to the characters, the character design. It may just be because Kifri is also a late 20s tall man with white hair who wears glasses. But he reminds me a ton of Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen. If Jujutsu Kaisen were about magic girls, it'd be this. But the characters are super endearing. I love the other students that Kifri has and the other adults that are around them, like Olrugio, who helps protect the Atelier. Really really enjoy that. The world building here is really fun with the way that magic is designed, the way that the society around magic is formed, the kind of laws that are put in place to protect non-magic users from magic users, and it goes to really interesting places. And the artwork by Kamome Shirahama is just gorgeous. I highly recommend this one because this is one that is so transporting. It reminds me a lot too of stuff like the Chronicles of Narnia, where there is a sense of childlike wonder that is really hard to pin down, but once you find it, it's really great. With this one, I read volumes 1 through 5, and again, I see myself purchasing a lot more of the physical copies, because I think this is still being printed, so I have a chance to actually get current on something, which is really exciting. Next. Beauty and the Feast by Satomi Yu. So this is about a widow, Shuko Yakumo, who finds that her neighbor, Shoei Yamato, he plays baseball in high school, and he's living by himself and eating the equivalent of gas station food. And she has not cooked since her husband died, but she starts picking up the cooking again in order to take care of this 16-year-old who can't feed himself. And it's important that he is fed for, keeping up with the sports. I guess, like, he's almost on, like, a scholarship kind of situation. I did buy the second volume for this one. I haven't read it yet. But the weird thing is it's satisfying my domestic girlfriend itch. And if you know domestic girlfriend, you're like, what does that imply for this manga? And if you don't know what domestic girlfriend is, that's fine. That is to say, the relationship between Shuko and Shoei is so far cute. It's just sweet. She's just hanging out. He's hanging out with her. They're kind of fulfilling each other's, like, emotional needs more so than any physical needs right now. But I just really liked it. It was super cute. It was super fun. The food imagery is great. Just the love and care that's put into the food, into just the domestic simplicity of it all. And again, it's satisfying weird niches that I didn't think it would satisfy, and so I'm very curious where it's going to go from here. If you like slice of life, if you like just kind of really simple, cute stories, that's what this delivers on, as does the next one, Otakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku by Fujita. So this one we read just volume 1. I bought volume 2 of it as well. And this is about Narume Momose, who is this girl here, and Hirotaka Nifuji. They went to school together. They went to, like, middle school together, and they kind of drifted apart as they went about their separate ways. But Narumi ends up working at Hirotaka's company, and they kind of reconnect and realize maybe they could go out. It's really hard to find someone who understands video games or manga or anime, and so when you find someone who does understand it, it's really nice, and you feel like you have stuff in common. It's nice to find someone who has those things in common and understands that part of you. I really like this. One of the things that I enjoy about this is it's about adults having to deal with, like, work and the weird relationships that come with that, because in a lot of stories revolving around teenagers, part of the contention is how do we get someone to make the first move. But here we've kind of been making moves, but we haven't talked about what that means or what that means we are to each other. And I like that, and I like how it goes into those kinds of dynamics and explores that, and it's really well done. I love the art here. They have lots of cute little things here and there. If you're into a lot of pop culture in Japan, this is a great companion piece for it. It goes into a lot of things that I think are relevant for a lot of people my age, and I recommend it if you're into that. The anime is also really cute. At the very least, the theme song's fantastic. I still listen to it. As I mentioned, I bought volume 2. Does that mean I'll buy subsequent volumes? Haven't decided. I may find this one again on some sort of manga service, but I do like the physical... I like the physical copies, I can't lie. Really, there wasn't a bad one in the bunch, but if you remember from my February reads, there was another book that I was going to read in the midst of that, and that was Overlord, which is a light novel, not a manga. And that was part of the problem. Again, I really like the Overlord 3 theme, and I like the concept, and the more I read about the writing of Overlord, the more I liked the concept of Overlord, more so than the execution, because Overlord is born out of Kugane Maruyama's D&D group falling apart, and there was some sort of creative outlet he was still missing, and that kind of led to Overlord being, published online and becoming this full thing. That kind of concept really comes through, but I think just the execution as a light novel was not what I was meant to read. Maybe because it's a light novel, you have more time you can stretch it out. There are more volumes to work with, more so than like books. In the commercial sense. As a result, it was so hard for me to pick the book up each time to keep reading. I like Manga as a protagonist. I like that he is this all-powerful being in this universe, but he's not sure how to wield that power well. There are elements that I really enjoy, but I think as a whole, light novels are really my thing. Unless they're done in an anime adaptation. We watched Fate Zero this month, and that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. That was so far up my alley, I can't believe it. That's all I read this month. I know I said in my TBR for March that I was also planning on reading Memory Police and Breasts and Eggs. Didn't get to those, so if you want any insight into my work ethic and my sense of dedication, the time that I can stick with something is like 2.5 months, and that's it. But that being said, we can talk about what I plan on reading in April. So when I was planning my April TBR, I was planning on doing skeptic reads where I was reading things that I've seen tons of positive feedback on, but I myself wasn't sure if I would like them or not, and I've decided not to do that. I'll save that for a different month, so I'm calling this one Why April, where I am doing market research because even though I didn't read everything I wanted to read this month, I did write 40,000 words in a week for my new novel, so factor that into your perception of my dedication. But here's what we're reading as part of my market research: books that are in the YA market, not necessarily in the genre that I'm writing, but in the category that I'm looking to publish in. And that is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, Three Dark Crowns by Kendari Blake, The Kingdom of Night by Kylie Lee Baker, Anatomy, A Love Story by Dana Schwartz, and Gearbreakers by Zoe Hanamakuta. Those are what I plan on reading in April, and I'm excited for those. It's fun to knock on YA just because it's easy. It's an easy target. But there is something very comforting about it. I enjoy kind of the simplicity about it. And so I'm excited to get into these, particularly these two. These are historical pieces. This one is set in Scotland in the 19th century, and it sounds really morbid, and I'm into that. This one is also set in the 19th century, but I believe in Imperial Japan. Both London and Japan. This one I think is going to be really cool, and I have high hopes for this. Like, if I'm being quite frank on which ones I think will just be up my alley, this one's probably going to be my favorite. This one's either going to be like second or third. This one, second or third also. I like the atmosphere of this one, and I'm hoping this one can factor into a video I want to do later. These actually probably would be in the skeptic reads because from the synopses, very promising. I'm still nervous. But no, like I said, I'll probably do skeptic reads in May depending on how everything goes. I just wanted to get back up on the horse with my TBR and enjoy it that way. I may do another manga month down the line because I did enjoy it and I think it's fun. And I also have a couple of videos coming out soon about the book Severance by Ling Ma, and a video that spawned from watching Fate Zero. So be on the lookout for those. I have no idea when I'm going to get to them. I got slammed from all directions, as you can kind of tell from like these designer eye bags. Good lord. That's all from me. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely evening, and I will see you all next time.